Hello and welcome to today's video, and today we are at Dinorwig quarry. Now the sequence that I showed you just now was taken last week when I popped my nose in just to get my bearings and see what the place was all about. A week later I'm back again because I was very impressed with what I saw. I've already been to the top and had a look. I basically carried on and did what I needed to do up there because the weather report was really bad. Fortunately, I've been very lucky with the conditions today, and I'm very happy with the images that I've managed to get. So I'd like to share them with you now. So if you'd like to stick around for the next 15-20 minutes, this is what we got. In this image, I found like an engine house, which is rather quite nice. If I just turn around, it is in there. Now I'll talk you through the shot in a minute, but what I do like is that with the hole in the roof, it's kind of just showing the machine, the old rusty machines. It's just basically showing them in like almost like a spotlight. Now because I'm shooting in black and white, by adjusting the aperture and the shutter, I can really accentuate the shadows coming in on the back wall. And it's sort of the white line wash on the back, just really sort of shows it up. Let me talk you through the shot. Here we go, that's the shot that we're looking at, and as you can see, the line wash on the back is just really sort of accentuating the shadows over in the left hand side. And if I bring myself, or bring the camera down, I'm not sure whether you will be able to see that on there or not, there's lots of glare. You can see how it accentuates just here. All the shadows down here, and you've got that contrast between the light and the dark. But yeah, for the first shot, I'm quite happy with that. Well, this isn't dodgy at all. Turn around and look at these steps. I'm gonna go right the way up and right the way up there. Really, really sketchy. And with changeable weather hot on my heels, it was time to climb. And climb I did. Right, we've got this lovely little scene in the background. I have seen compositions from here before, not necessarily this particular composition, but I think it's going to be a hard push to find any new compositions. And it's when you've only got a short time in a place, it's good to sort of take as many shots as you can, even the easy ones. So I'm going to take the obvious shots and then maybe have a little bit of an explore and see where we go from there. But what with the tree in the right hand side, as you can see, we've got the hut in the middle, and we've got, if I just move out of the way, we've got this red sort of ironwork and stuff there, which has gone a real deep, rich red. Really is a nice sort of subject. You've got all these comparisons going on. Now, because we've got low-lying cloud going on in the background, and we're shooting in black and white. Now, we're shooting in black and white, let's just get away with it a little bit, I feel, because normally you'd sort of kind of worry about the trees sort of sticking up into above the horizon and all the rest of it. Now behind you is a massive heap of slate, which there's no way you can sort of like climb up that to sort of get any elevation. So that's where the tree's going to stay, and there is a bit of cloud coming in, which is obviously making it a little bit more sort of as if it's meant to be there, sort of sticking up into the air. And because we're shooting in black and white, we're losing a little bit of detail, because obviously we've got a lot of darkness going on this side, and I want all exposed for the hut. And if the sky blows out, I'm not really fussed about that, because I think that sort of gives sort of black and white photography a bit of authenticity. You know, we're kind of going oldie worldy, and this whole scene looks very oldie worldy. But that's what I've got. And another good thing, what I like as well about shooting in black and white, is obviously your attention will be taken to the reds and the greens and stuff going on. And when you're dealing with black and white, it's all about contrasting. Obviously you've got the light sky and the dark patches, you've got the lighter grass, and so, you know, back in the edit you can sort of kind of play with those or toy with those sort of contrasting issues. And as you know, your eye is drawn to the lighter part of the image, and with that, with a bit of sort of dodging and burning and stuff, you can kind of lead the eye in and yeah, make things a little bit more balanced. So that's what we're going to do. I am actually going to use the histogram, because although the sky is going to be blown out, if I can keep the histogram away from the right hand side, we know that we're going to retain a little bit of detail in the sky, which we can kind of bring back in again in post. Good old post. Well, what I've done is I've just moved myself sort of 5 meters this way, because I'm not really feeling the tree at the moment. So I thought I'd basically cut that out of the image and just focus on the nice geometric shapes we've got going on in the metalwork here, and align that with the cottage hut. But where I was, there's again a lot of things were breaking the horizon, and I wasn't really kind of feeling that. So what I managed to do is, fortunately I've got a bit of height on my tripod, and raising it up, I've managed to keep this ironwork below the horizon at the back, and that kind of made the cottage look a little bit more prominent in the scene. And what I've done is sort of come in closer. Again, I've only got the 24mm on, but that's just enough to get the geometric shapes of the ironwork and the cottage all in, and cut out some of that high key sky in the background. And on that little tiny screen it looks all right. On the computer at home it might not, but either way, let's learn from this one. Okay, so I've just moved myself around, just exploring down this way really, and before I have to go up again. There's so many ups here. I just noticed this tree had fallen down across the way. Now, again, because I've got the profile set up on the back of the camera as black and white, that's allowing me to see the contrast against the slates and the subject of the tree. And the tree has got some bark and stuff missing, which is kind of showing off the white sort of pith underneath the bark. In my mind, it's kind of quite striking, along with, I don't know if you can see, there's some stones along the bottom which are just underneath the tree as it's fallen. I've got to keep looking up just in case any more comes down. So yeah, I've got those stones just framing the bottom of the picture, and the very light slate in the background kind of just draws your eye in past the fallen tree and all the textures and stuff, you know, between, well, it's just a picture of texture, I think. There's just texture everywhere. But yes, I think this is quite nice because you've got lots of scale of grey between the blacks, which is down over here onto the left-hand side, to the brighter. There's no particular whites as such in the image, apart from where the bark is missing off the tree. But I've kept the sky out of it again because I just like having a background of all that grey in the background, just sort of like shouting at you out of the image. In my mind anyway. And again, we can kind of play with that as well as regards sort of just adjusting, you know, doing the age-old dodging and the burning, just to sort of like darken the edges just slightly here, just to give you sort of like a tunnel of light down to look down. Let me quickly show you the back of the camera. Yeah, as you can see, the histogram is right over to the left-hand side, really. Now, obviously that's showing that it's a little bit underexposed, but I kind of like that. I don't like to sort of like do all that work in processing. I like to try and, although it's a digital camera, I like to try and do as much as I can in camera, because that's kind of how I like it. I prefer the darker images. Yeah, I just prefer the darker images. See if I can do that in camera. I mean, you can obviously adjust that out if I don't like that, but that's kind of how I sort of get my ingredients for the cake that is a photograph. Yeah, I like to underexpose things, make things a little bit darker, and then I can pick out the points in the middle. You can see all the lightness going on in the background, and that just gives me an idea of what the image might look like when it's finished. And here it is. I've got to the level where I want to be, but it's very, 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 very windy, and I can see the clouds have come right in. But it's well worth the climb. For the first shot that I've seen coming up here is this one here. Now, this was a lot more misty just now, but I was glad I managed to take the picture when I did. Basically, the concept was to have this red pipe that's running along in front, framing. There's a joint right there, which I thought would be quite a good foreground for the image. And because the mist had come right in and was covering over the back ends of the buildings, the light was still shining through quite heavily on that section, so you had this sort of like ethereal glow coming on at the back. So I took the snap, and here it is. Conditions just get better and better. Now it's a bit of it's very, very misty, and then all of a sudden it disappears, and then as it blows through, then it gets very light again. So it's just a case of picking your moment. What I've done is I've got a very nice cross sort of design going on there with the old telegraph pole just there, and as you can see how that disappears all off into the distance. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, again, black and white profile. I've basically got the histogram kind of peaking in the middle at the moment, so I've got a deep contrast between shadows and the light, and I just love that. So I've got f14, so which is really stopped down at 1/5 of a second, and I'm not going to do any stacking or anything like that. This is just absolutely wonderful. Here's the image. Wow, this is a real treat. Look, you've got all this atmosphere going on at the bottom of these sheds, and I'm hoping I can pick that up on the camera. You've got all the cutting beds, as you could probably see just in the background here, all these wheels and all these circular sort of patterns going right the way down through. There's got to be, I don't know, 15, 20 odd tables going right the way down through into the distance. And so, yeah, I'm just using the sort of like repetition pattern in the next image, just to sort of showcase this fantastic feat of engineering. That's all I can say it is. Yeah, again, I've taken all the colour, as you know, everything's going to be black and white, I think, today. I wasn't sure whether I might, I don't know, I'm in two minds at the moment, because this red is very rich, it's lovely. This rust colour is very good. I don't know whether I might sort of keep some of that in some of the images, I don't know yet. But yeah, absolute treat. It's been hard work to get up here, mind, I've got to admit, but it's well worth the effort, climbing up the stairs and slopes and goodness knows what else. So if I just talk you through this image, as you can see, we've got all the mist and stuff coming in through the open roof, and it just makes everything very mysterious down at the far end. And so all these cutting beds have, as you can see, all these cutting tables have all got the old spinning wheels and goodness knows what else still on it. So by using that on this image, again, I'm just making a feature. I just like the saw blade was just sticking up in the middle of the table there, just sticking up. Just gives you a little bit of a foreground interest. Then you've got the wheel, and then you can just make out the repetition going off into the distance. And I quite like that. Having the 100 to 400 on really sort of opens things up a little bit for you, so that you can really kind of compress the background and all those sorts of things, or give that the effect of compression. Now I've still got a lot of atmosphere going on in the background. It's sort of coming and going, so I've kind of got to pick my points or pick my spots or pick my times even to set the shutter off. But again, with the 100 to 400 on, again, I'm working on sort of like the repetition sort of patterns that I can see, and obviously these flywheels that are running down through are quite apparent. So what I've done is with the 100 to 400 is I've basically focused in on one, but only had it in the corner of the image, focused on that with a shallow depth of field, and then the repetition disappears off into the distance, where it gets consumed by all the atmosphere in the distance. And obviously, because the first one is the one that's in sharp focus, that's what grabs your attention, but then you can just sort of, your eyes can then ease into the image. I wonder where it disappears to, or something like that. Well, as you can see with this image, the mist has come in again from the back, and it's making some lovely layers in the rock face going off behind the hut. Now I've taken about probably 10 images or so in this area at different locations, and I'm quite liking this one because we've managed to use some pathway just to fill in that dark patch on the left hand side, giving you some leading lines. And I've had to move myself around to the left because the hut, if you can see, the mountain behind it has got that sort of squared edge, so I kind of want to frame the hut within that. So that's kind of how I've managed to come up with this composition. There's obviously lots of darks and lots of lights, and I just love the way in the light section that the cliffs are just disappearing. It's changing all the time, so 2 or 3 minutes ago it looked a lot different to this, but I'll put this sequence of images up now and see what you think. And with the promised bad weather finally upon me, it was time to gingerly pick my way back down. Well, I thought this was sketchy coming up, and now that it's rained, it's nice and slippery. That's it for today. I've managed to make it down those steps, and it's a bit harrowing, so I might need to go and change my underpants when I get home. Yeah, time to say goodbye. If you like the images that you've seen today and you'd like to leave a like and subscribe, it really helps the channel out, gets it out there to ever more people who like this sort of content. So yeah, until next time, bye for now.